Thank you for joining me as we continue to examine the avenue of alchemy on the path of the seeker. Today we'll be taking a look at the third step of alchemy called separation. This stage is referred to as the wind carries it in its belly in the emerald tablet. The symbol for the stage resembles a breath coming from a diamond. Physical techniques that symbolize the stage is that of sifting or cutting. Dennis William Hawk and Paul Foster Case have slightly different views on this stage, although technically both involve air. Hawk explains, alchemists saw this as the impregnation of the personality with something entirely new, as our true essence comes through the murky waters of dissolution. Separation is when you lift yourself out of your ego personality and recognize your unborn self. This is the discovery of your individual essence. Paul Foster Case explains it this way. The water flows from the addendum, or holy of holies. The water must be distilled until it is clean and thin as water should be. In its natural state, it is filled with fecal sediment, from passing through the subconscious. Hawk suggests 3 different ways to work with this energy. The first method is sifting through your thoughts, deciding what you want to discard and what you want to retain in your refined personality. Eventually, you will discover that you are not your thoughts. You become aware of the observer, which is your essence. This is where you realize that your thoughts do not define you any more than your physical body. The second method is cutting through reality. Here, Hawk explains, the sword you use to cut your reality is your consciousness, honed to penetrate even the deepest illusion. Third, he uses breathing techniques. He explains there are 3 categories of breathing. There is the stomach breather, who only uses the lower part of the lungs, the rib breather, who uses only the rib muscles to fill the midsection of the lungs, then the top breather, who raises the shoulders and collarbones, who fills the top of the lungs with air. He suggests breathing into the count of 8 and breathing out to the count of 16 to correct this. Some people, by practicing the proper breathing technique, can experience a state called primordial breath or embryonic breathing. They have the sensation of not needing to breathe, which allows them to sense their subtle essence. Paul Foster Case describes the state as the establishment of personal purified consciousness. He explains, the author of the drama is the spiritual essence of all his characters, but the characters themselves are sharply and vividly defined. The sage knows the illusion of personality, and knows too how necessary, useful, and beneficial the illusion is. Paul Foster Case explains this separation occurs through concentration and meditation. Receptivity, he explains, is crucial at this stage as we realize both the physical body and the personality are vehicles of the divine. Paul Foster Case focuses on speech as being the most important part of this stage. He explains, from now on, therefore, watch your words. Be sure that you say what you mean and mean what you say. The simple words, I am, do have a mighty power, and whatever you put after them becomes manifest in our external circumstances. He then explains that silence is the best option until a person understands right speech. Until you become skilled, you will find it advantageous to practice silence. He who refuses to put anything into words until he knows just what to say will confer blessings on his fellow man. Well, both descriptions given by the sources I'm using for the subject are a little obscure, so I'll go into a couple different perspectives that speak on the same thing, just a little differently. Bashar describes each of us as a shard. That shard makes up the mirror of the one creator. So at essence, it's the same thing, but we each have our own unique part, while still being one with everyone else. However, this state of realization is best described by Edgar Cayce, to know yourself as yourself, and yet one with the Creator. So you realize at this stage that you are not your body, you are not your thoughts, but it is the sum of all of your experiences that makes you different from all the other shards. The way that Thomas Campbell describes it is as a hand beneath a sheet forming a puppet. There can be multiple hands beneath a sheet, but all of them are still part of the same sheet. All of us are born under the illusion of separation. I wrote about the illusion of separation in a blog, and I will post that in the description box below. You might think it's a bit of a paradox that is the stage of alchemy called separation, that you become aware of your individual essence that you share with all the rest of creation. However, it makes perfect sense because at this point you're realizing that the personality and the physical body that you have are both just vessels for a higher power. Once you realize that the same essence that you are at your very core resides within every aspect of creation, from the minerals, the vegetables, to the animals, it changes your perspective of the world, and for the better, because you realize that you are related to and consist of the same essence as the rest of creation. Sifting through your consciousness is much like panning for gold. There isn't usually much gold in the pan, just a few flakes. There is a lot of stuff that you need to get rid of. They're just random sediment. The whole purpose of alchemy is to transform the lead of your rock-like mind into spiritual gold. And so this process is very important because as you start to become aware of what part is the sediment and what part is the gold, you identify that the most important part is that essence which you share with everything and everyone else. Let me add a couple more seeds for you to meditate upon. I have always wondered about the passage in Matthew 10:34, where Jesus said, "Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword." The sword, as we have studied in this alchemical level, represents separation. Well, we have reached the end of this video. I hope that I have provided you with a lot of food for thought. There are a lot of connections that you can make on this subject, and I recommend that you continue to meditate and study this level of alchemy.